Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Pick that up off the floor. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa, Padurikacharya, Ashtotar to Shri Srimad Divine Grace, Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Padurikacharya, Ashtotar to Shri Srimad Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Ananda Koti Vaishnavin Ki Jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Janmastami Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Janmastami Mahamahotsava Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Before I proceed, can you turn this down a little bit for me? Because it's too loud for me. Slightly. So on this third day of September, which is the glorious Janmastami day, the appearance day of Lord Shri Krishna, we're going to be reading, starting from Bhagavad Gita, as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this will be text 7 of chapter 4. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanim bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanim bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya atmanam sujamyaham. Jai. Yada yada hi dharmasya bhavati bharata dharma dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanim bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. For those who don't know, that long A he tried to write there. Tadatmanam, that was left off, so keep it in mind. This is 4-7. It should be 4-7. Bhagavad Gita. Go ahead, Jamadar. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanim bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanim bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Ladies? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanim bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanim bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Go ahead, Navada. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanim bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Yada yada, whenever and wherever, he, certainly, dharmasya, of religion, glanihi, discrepancies, bhavati, become manifested, bharata, O descendant of Bharat, abhyutanam, predominance, adharmasya, of irreligion, tada, at that time, atmanam, self, svajami, manifest, aham, I. Translation. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Purport. The words, I'm going to read a good part of this purport. The word Swajami is significant herein. Swajami cannot be used in the sense of creation, because according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all of the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Swajami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. Although the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of the Dwapara Yuga of the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu in one day of Brahma, he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations, because he is completely free to act in any way at his will. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and a disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. In the Bhagavatam it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. Therefore, the principles of Dharma or religion are the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here's a phrase Prabhupada would often quote, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam, which was uttered by Lord Yamaraj. These principles are, which means Dharma is directly enunciated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. These principles are clearly indicated throughout the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord. And the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that the highest principle of religion is to surrender unto Him only, and nothing more. The Vedic principles push one toward complete surrender unto Him. And whenever such principles are disturbed by the demoniac, the Lord appears. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So I'm going to read the next verse and the one after it, which are traditionally the three verses that give us a firm foundation of understanding the Lord's appearance. So you can repeat if you know it, line by line. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear, millennium after millennium. And finally, the third and famous verses describing Krishna's birth. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha jaktva deham punarjanma naitimam eti sorjana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So in these three verses, and a couple of verses before this actually in the 4th chapter, Krishna is describing how and when he appears and the benefits of understanding his birth and activities. Tattvataha, in truth. So I'd like to explore this a little bit more. Here it's clear that Krishna is saying whenever there's a discrepancy in Dharma, then I appear, every millennium. Now, clearly Krishna himself doesn't appear in every millennium as he is in his original threefold bending form. Even in this Kali Yuga, he appears as Lord Chaitanya. He's also Krishna. But in other Kali Yugas and in other Yuga cycles, Krishna appears in different forms for the same reason. Just like you think of the appearance of Lord Varaha, for instance. So Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu had become dominant in the universe, and in fact the earth had been so affected by the minings of Hiranyaksha that it had fallen into the bottom of the Garbhodak ocean. So clearly Dharma had been disrupted and the rise of Adharma had come. So Brahma didn't know what to do. You remember? He said, what am I going to do? The earth has fallen into the bottom. He was puzzled, and then from his nostril came a little boar, and then expanded into big Varaha, went down, picked up the earth, and fought, killed the Hiranyaksha like that. So you'll find that is true. There's Lord Nrsingadev, or Varaha, or Matsya, is when things get discombobulated in any yuga, Krishna appears. He doesn't always appear, he very rarely appears in his original form as Krishna. So I wanted to explore a little bit from the Adi Lila, chapter 4 of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which further describes why Krishna comes as he is at this time. And so I'm going to go to that section, which I marked. Hopefully it'll come here. And, okay, so we'll start with Adi Lila, chapter 4, excuse me. Well, this is interesting. This is Adi Lila, chapter 4, text 7. I wonder if it was because he had chapter 4:7. I didn't even notice that. This is Gita 4:7. And he starts describing the appearance of the Lord in Adi Lila, chapter 4. That's interesting. So I'll just read the English here. The scriptures proclaim that Lord Krishna previously descended to take away the burden of the earth. He's describing this. But then he goes on. To take away this burden, however, is not the work of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original Krishna in Vrindavan. The maintainer, Lord Vishnu, is the one who protects the universe. This comes out in the Krishna book when you read also. But the time to lift the burden of the world mixed with the time for Lord Krishna's incarnation, 5,000 years ago. Yeah. Things as described in the beginning of the 10th canto. The world was overburdened by an unnecessary defense force of unnecessary kings, the first words of the Krishna book. It's described like that. And you remember Bhumi was so troubled, she came to Lord Brahma, and Brahma and all the demigods went to the ocean of milk. So the time mixed. When the complete Lord descends, all other incarnations of the Lord meet together with him. So Krishna comes, and they're all within him. And the Vishnu is especially with him. Lord Narayan, the four primary expansions, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Niruddha, Matsya, the other Leela avatars, Yuga avatars, the Manvantara incarnations, who appear along with the Manus. The Manus are themselves not the Manvantara incarnations, but they appear in order to help them in the administration of the universe. Many incarnations, as many as there are, all descend within the body of Krishna. In this way, the complete Supreme Godhead, Krishna himself, appears. At that time, therefore, Lord Vishnu is present in the body of Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna kills the demons through them. So when you read about, we read Krishna book, 10th canto, and we see that Krishna is playing along with his friends in the forest, and suddenly a demon appears. Vatsasura, Dhenukasura, Pranambasura, all these demons. And then we read how Krishna kills them, or sometimes Balaram kills them, the expansion. So that's actually Vishnu within Krishna who's doing the killing. This is brought out by the commentators. So that's what he's saying here. Because Krishna's only purpose, as he'll explain here, is to engage in these rasa relationships with his friends, with his parents, with his lovers, with servants. That's Krishna's dealing. So the Lord's desire to appear himself, Krishna's desire to appear, was born from two reasons. He wanted to taste the sweet essence of the mellows of love of God, and he wanted to propagate devotional service in the world on the platform of spontaneous attraction. This is Krishna. Krishna. Yes, thus he is known as supremely jubilant and as the most merciful of all. Now later on we'll say, well, Lord Chaitanya had the same motive, but Krishna had the same motive. He wanted to revive the memory of all of these sweet Leela in Vrindavan. So Lord Krishna thought, now this is Krishna's Kaviraj giving us an insight into the mind of Krishna before he came. All the universe is filled with the conception of my majesty, but love weakened by that sense of majesty does not satisfy me. We have to recall that Krishna's motive, what does Krishna want? He's got everything. There's the goddess of fortune. He really doesn't need our offerings. So what does he want from us? He wants our love. He wants our expressions of love, and for us to revive that so that we can experience what everyone in the spiritual world has experienced. So that's what motivates Krishna. That's a Rasol Vaisa. He's personified rasa. That's what he lives for. So Krishna's explaining now. If one regards me as the Supreme Lord and himself as a subordinate, I do not become subservient to his love, nor can it control me. It's good, but it's not the highest. In whatever transcendental mellow my devotee worships me, I reciprocate with him. That is my natural behavior. Now what verse does he quote here? Obviously. Yeyatamam papadyante. Yeyatamam papadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmano vartante manushak partasava. In whatever way my devotees surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Prita. Now Krishna describes some of his Vrindavan moods. If one cherishes pure loving devotion to me, thinking of me as his son, his friend or his beloved, regarding himself as great and considering me his equal or inferior, I become subordinate to him. So this is, pure loving devotion. That's no exploitation. And then he quotes a verse. This is Krishna speaking to the gopis. Mahi bhakti rubhutanam amitatvat kalpate dishya yadasin matsneho bhavati namarapana. Devotional service rendered to me by the living beings revives their eternal life. O my dear damsels of Braj, your affection for me is your good fortune, for it is the only means by which you have obtained my favor. Then Krishna is going on by the words of Krishna's Kavirash. Mother sometimes binds me as her son. She nourishes and protects me, thinking me utterly helpless. My friends climb on my shoulders in pure friendship, saying, "What kind of a big man are you? You and I are equal." If my beloved consort reproaches me in a sulky mood, that steals my mind from the reverent hymns of the Vedas. Taking these pure devotees with me from Goloka, I shall descend and sport in various wonderful ways unknown even in Vaikuntha. I shall broadcast such pastimes by which even I am amazed. The influence of Yoga Maya will inspire the gopis with the sentiment that I am their paramour. Neither the gopis nor I shall notice this, for our minds will always be entranced by one another's beauty and qualities. And this is true of the friends also. They literally forget that Krishna is God. They don't know. Is it? And then when he does something wonderful, they sing of him as, "Oh, our wonderful friend did this," and they bring back the song. But then, what was that? Somebody's an ex. Oh. Pure attachment will unite us even at the expense of moral and religious duties. Destiny will sometimes bring us together and sometimes separate us. So this is where we have to understand, because Krishna comes when there's a discrepancy in Dharma. But here he says, at the expense of moral and religious duties. So what is all that about? The idea is that when the gopis violate Dharma and run out into the forest to meet Krishna in the rasa dance, it's not that, oh my God, they're so immoral. That's the materialist thinking like that. It is beyond morality. Just as Krishna is beyond morality, he can't do anything wrong, be punished. So when there's this ardent love, the proof of their all-powerful love is the fact that they're willing to give up the ordinary restrictions, and running out into the forest in the middle of the night, which would ordinarily be highly condemned. So this has to be understood, because just to violate the principles of religion is not proof of love for Krishna. That's proved that the evidence of that is your complete, utter, absolute distaste and abhorrence of any material sense gratification. It's when we try to impose our material consciousness on Krishna Lila that you get all of these upasampradayas, sahajiya. Sahajiya literally means easy. Oh, Krishna consciousness is so easy. We don't have to follow anything. Forget about the shastra. We just dance to Krishna, think of Krishna and the gopis and like that. That's bogus. Shruti, Rupa Goswami, who's the very acharya of rasacharya, he gives us this stern warning near the beginning of his Bhakti Samana Sutta. Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, Pancharatra, Vadingvina, Aikantaki Hari Bhakti, Utpataya Vikalpata. Any so-called Hari Bhakti, devotion to Krishna, which is devoid of any reference to the Shrutis and the Smritis, such as the Puranas, like Bhagavad Purana, is simply a disturbance in society. And it's a disturbance in the devotee society too, because people get confused. So that's very firmly, and Srila Prabhupada presented Krishna consciousness. He gave us the Bhagavad Gita, and we just read the purport, the Yadaya Dahi Dharmasya. And that's basic understanding. But he also gave us this Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is another view of why and how Krishna appears. So then Krishna says, I shall taste the essence of all these rasas, and in this way I shall favor all the devotees. Then, by hearing about the pure love of the residents of Braj, devotees will worship me on the path of spontaneous love, abandoning all rituals of religiosity and fruit of activity. And here's the verse that I was thinking of starting with, but I start with the proper starting point, Yadaya Daya Dharmasya. So this is another verse explaining why Krishna appears. And this one appears at the end of the Rasa Dance chapters, in text 36 of chapter 33. And Shukadev says, Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusham deham ashritaha bhadate tadrishi krida yashrutva tatparo bhavet. Krishna manifests his eternal human-like form and performs his pastimes to show mercy to the devotees. Having heard such pastimes, one should engage in service to him. And I think I'll read the first paragraph of this purport. This text is from Bhagavatam 10:33-36. The Supreme Lord has innumerable expansions of his transcendental form who eternally exist in the spiritual world. This material world is only a perverted reflection of the spiritual world where everything is manifested without inebriety. There, everything is in its original existence, free from the domination of time. Time can't deteriorate or interfere with the conditions in the spiritual world, where different manifestations of the Lord are recipients of the worship of different living entities in their constitutional spiritual positions. In the spiritual world, all existence is unadulterated goodness. The goodness found in the material world is contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance. The saying that the human form of life is the best position for devotional service has its special significance because only in this form can a living entity revive his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The human form is considered the highest state in the cycle of the species of life in the material world. If one takes advantage of this highest kind of material form, one can regain his position of devotional service to the Lord. So, this verse rounds out our understanding of why Krishna appears. He comes in every millennium in order to reinstitute Dharma, to annihilate the miscreants, to protect the devotees. That's a given. But he comes as Krishna himself, the threefold bending form Shyama Sundar, very rarely. How often, Bhaktazak, does he appear as Krishna? Once in a day of Brahma, which is more than 8 billion years, the day and the night. So just think of how fortunate we are. Krishna appeared a mere 5,000 years ago. Compared to 8 billion, that's like a split second. We're practically contemporaries on that level, you see. And not only that, but every time Krishna comes as he is, Lord Chaitanya comes in the subsequent Kali Yuga in order to make Krishna super accessible by the process of chanting the holy name and practicing devotional service. So it behooves us to take advantage of this golden opportunity. The Srila Prabhupada has fulfilled the prediction of Lord Chaitanya that his name will be chanted throughout the world, every town and village. Every town and village that has a Wi-Fi is certainly reverberating. In other words, it's practically completed. We have a lot of work to do, but it's happening. So this opportunity is very rare. We shouldn't waste it. Is that we have attained this human form of life after many, many, many lives going through up the species. There's a process of evolution, not of the forms, but of the consciousness. Each living entity evolves its consciousness till you come up to the human form. And the human form is the form where there's responsibility, where you can suffer karma, or so-called enjoy good karma. So this is the form in which we can we have the intelligence to hear the Shastra and to take up the process, to surrender to a realized soul, and to actually revive our original nature that we've lost for so many billions of years that was there in the spiritual world, as one of Krishna's associates in Goloka Vrindavan. When Prabhupada talks about going back home, back to Godhead, that's what he's talking about. So back home means we're once there. So this day, Janmastami, is a wonderful day to contemplate, to remember the appearance of Krishna, and how it's entirely anugrahaya, out of his mercy, out of his compassion for us. This concept, this understanding that Krishna, he never abandons us, never. We abandon him, and we try very hard to forget him, and that's why we're here. But he's always with us as the super soul, and he's trying to speak to us, but we're so covered we can't hear. So he comes outside as the spiritual master and the Shastra also. When we read Bhagavad Gita as it is, Krishna is speaking directly to us. He's speaking to Arjuna, but he's really speaking to every living entity. So all we have to do is receive. The Prabhupada uses these phrases, the ardent listening, ardent hearing, or submissive oral reception. By hearing the message of Krishna as enunciated in the Bhagavad Gita and in all of these other books that Srila Prabhupada has given us, All of them are really Krishna's words. What is Srila Prabhupada speaking except Krishna's philosophy? And Veda Vyasa is an incarnation. This is all Krishna speaking to us. And when we hear the message and we take it into our hearts and we act on it, then the connection is beginning to be revived, and we have a great opportunity, not to waste time. Material life just means a whole total waste of time. I have a friend in Columbus who I have a Skype call with, and we go through shlokas and everything. And we were reviewing some of those wonderful verses near the beginning of the second chapter, first canto. And he says, Dharmak swanushtitak pungsam vishvaksena katasuyat notpariyet yadiratim shama evahi kevalam. This phrase, shama evahi kevalam, comes in several places in the Bhagavatam. This is the most famous one. So he's saying there, whatever dharma you're performing, suppose it varnashram dharma, suanustitak means you very nicely do it according to your varna and ashram, whatever your station in life may be. Fine. You're within the varnashram system. But if whatever you're doing doesn't evoke, revive, if you will, your attraction for hearing about Krishna, Vishvakshena is the name for God, for Krishna, then it's Shrama Evi Kevalam. It's just a lot of effort for nothing. You may think you're very dharmic, you're very religious, or acting nicely, but it's not reviving your interest in God, in Krishna. In other words, awakening you. Then it's just you're just turning your wheels. And the chances are very high, especially in this Kali Yuga, that you'll perform all kinds of vikarma and lose the human form of life, which is the greatest tragedy. So many billions of lifetimes we've wasted in this world is going up and down, up and down. So much suffering. One of Krishna's greatest mercies, for us, is to give us forgetfulness of all of those lives we passed before, human lives and other lives. Imagine the hara, how we died, how we got sick, how we were slaughtered and cut up into little pieces. So we don't have to think of that. That doesn't distract us. But if we fail to revive that understanding of Krishna, that love for Krishna in this lifetime, or at least make some progress in that regard, then down we go. It's a good chance in this age you just get entangled in all kinds of horrific activities. Nunam pramatta kurate vikarma. Rishabdev says, certainly they are mad who simply act and perform vikarma, vicious activities, without reference to the Vedas at all, simply for the impetus of sense gratification. So this impetus for sense gratification, as nicely described at the end of chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, is nothing but kama. It's just kama that is the impetus that binds us here. And all of it, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, it all starts with kama. And that kama is nothing but prema that's been curdled, if you will, by touch with the modes of nature. So Prabhupada says it's very difficult once it becomes kama, but it is possible. Even a late beginner can start, he says in it. So that's the whole process of devotional service. That desire for sense gratification, for so-called love and attachment in this world, which is really what binds us, it's just a perverted reflection of our original love for Krishna. And if we are able to, these holidays are great opportunities. There's so much service to be done, so much glorification. You can form a little austerity, through the fasting, and so much chanting, of course, to really get a taste. Whatever taste you experience of Krishna consciousness, that's a little impetus to draw you on. This is the reality. You're getting an inkling of the reality. And you read about the experiences of the great devotees. I was reminded of a verse today. There's this beautiful poem by Rupa Goswami, of Leela Chanda. Leela Chanda is 18 verses, but they're long verses, some of them very long. Just describe Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. And in the middle of this, between the Leela, he has different verses, prayers. So one of the verses is like this. Purushottamasya padito gokula chaditam kena kutasheka prema madandasyandam tanota mama chittamakanda. Which means, let the mango tree of my mind be sprinkled with the nectar of the Gokula pastimes of Krishna. Then that mango tree of my mind will sprout these mango blossoms, which will drip the makaranda, which is literally flower nectar, the makaranda of pure love for Krishna, of prema. So that's, a beautiful expression of what we should do. Absorb our mind, especially in a day like this, in hearing and chanting Krishna's pastimes, performing all kinds of services, contemplating the beautiful deity, which will be so nicely decorated, the whole altar, and beginning to taste whatever pleasure you experience there. That's just a little inkling of that overwhelming love for Krishna that is our birthright. That's who we really are. It's all been misdirected in this material world, beginning with the body and the sense of so much concern, So you get to, little austerity, full day fast, you deny the demands of the body, instead you engage, and then you say, why? I forgot all about eating. What happened? Yeah. And you realize, that's that's how we should work. So that's, and what I wanted to share with you this morning. They told me now that there's an extra 15 minutes, so if there's any discussion, otherwise we can proceed. It's almost 8:30. Now they're actually going to open the course at 9:40. Go ahead, January. Oh, we have, where is that thing? The mic. You be the runner. Yeah. It's good to have because we realize there's people in the audience, on the internet. They can't hear unless you have it. Is it on? Okay, go ahead. Keep it close. Keep it close.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare.
As I understand that Krishna is the source of everything, and also he is the cause of all causes. So how can I understand that part, abhyutanam or dharmasya?
Yeah, you mean how does a dharma take over? Why does he let the dharma?
Is he the cause of that also, or
he's the cause in the sense that that the living entities are his expansions, right? And the material world is part of his expansion. We know that from Bhagavad Gita, Bhuma Apa Onalavaya. And in order to enjoy rasa with the living entities, he takes a risk. He gives us a minute amount of independence. Because without them independence, there's no meaning to the word love. You see? So all the living entities, they have their independence. And we have the freedom to turn away from Krishna. To turn our back on Krishna, commit that, and become absorbed in his material energy and forget all about him. And that's the beginning of our material life. And that's where a dharma is rooted. So in that sense, you say, yeah, he's the cause of that. But it's not his desire that there be a dharma. Rather, that a dharma is a result of the nonsense of those living entities who are rebelling. We're in the minority. We're only 1/4, as described more or less. So that's, in that sense, he's the cause. Just like the super soul, the upadrashta anumanta. He's the overseer and permitter. But it's not his desire. He's witnessing the living entity. He's sanctioning it. Because that's what he wants to do now. And if he does something completely nonsense, he'll lose some of that independence. As you go down the species, I was contemplating, I do the laundry down the street. And I was chanting some rounds, I was walking around, I was looking at some of those trees, and it just struck me. These big, tall trees with a little foliage on the top. They're full palm trees, right? And I was thinking, wow, what a birth that is. Here they are standing for decades up there, and all they do, they can wave in the wind and, greet the sun, you know what I mean? That's the result of too much of dharma. You lose, your ability to move even, what to speak of consciousness. Now, Krishna blesses them with practically, very little awareness of what's going on, but still you have to suffer like that. So that's the way of seeing all of the suffering. You can't blame Krishna for any of the suffering here. This is a big fallacy. The problem of evil. There's a whole field of Western theology built on that problem. The Christians can't follow. If you don't know about reincarnation, then there's no way of explaining it. It's called theodicy. Theodicy, and it's kind of summarized in this statement. Why do bad things happen to good people? Good meaning apparently those who are very religious. They go to church every. Why would God, who must be all-powerful and all-merciful, if he's not all-powerful and all-merciful, what kind of God is that? Then why does he let the innocent children suffer? Why does he let all this stuff going on? I can't believe in God. Prabhu would tell this story about that was told to him by one of his godbrothers who was from Germany. He'd been through the war, World War II, and he saw it personally, and he experienced so much death and destruction. So you have the ladies there, who are the wives and the mothers and the daughters, and the sisters of so many men who went to war. So naturally, most of them are Lutherans, probably, Germany, but they're religious. So they would go to church every day and pray ardently and fervently, please let my son, my brother, my husband come back, And millions of them didn't come back, They were killed or they were captured by the Russians, and they were worked to death. I was in Moscow, and they told me this whole block of apartments was built by the German soldiers who were captured, and they just worked them to death. You can imagine that kind of fate. So then a lot of the women, they became atheists after that. We prayed so fervently, we didn't do anything sinful, and then what kind of God is that? This is ignorance, right? Not knowing the karma, not knowing the previous life, So in one sense, you say, well, this Krishna's arrangement, he's allowing it to happen. But we're responsible. It's like, this concept, you have to expand it a little bit. Tough love, where a father's son is incorrigible, he's into drugs and crime, and to save him, he'll put him under the care, practically arrest and put him in some camp somewhere where, almost semi-military, That's what this world is. It's a prison house. And if we're really nonsense, then we go into various levels of solitary confinement, whatever, But you can't blame the government. It's our own fault. So that's where the Dharma comes. And Krishna comes. This is part of his mercy. He doesn't need to come here. But he has the unbreakable tie. He's the Father. Aham bija buddhak pita. So he has the concern and the love for us. So he says, okay, they've gotten really off the track, so I'm going down now, and I'm going to kill the demons myself, and reinstitute the Mahabharata war, so Yudhishthira will be king, so there'll be Dharma for a while. He knows it's not permanent. So that's Krishna. He's completely faultless. He's just acting out of love and concern. Even when he kills the demons, it's for their own good. This famous verse from Uddhava. Aho bakiyam kalakalakutam jigangsayapya hirapya sadvi lebe katim datuchitam katonyam kambadayalam shadanam vajema. He starts the verse with aho, how wonderful it is. And this verse was, I think, the verse that was chanted to Pundarik Vidyanidhi by one of his aides. Anyway, this is a little off the subject. But it's an amazing verse. She says, just see what Krishna did. Bakiya means the elder sister of Bakasura, Putana. There's a whole dynasty of demons and demonesses there. So she smeared her breast with this very virulent poison, intending to kill Krishna, fed him the breast milk, and Krishna, of course, killed her, but he gave her a position in the spiritual world as a wet nurse. In other words, an aid to Mother Yashoda, on the same level as Mother Yashoda. This feel of maternal love for Krishna eternally. So he ignored the motive and the whole demonic thing, completely purified her, and because she acted as a mother, sort of, he gave her that position. Where am I going to find any avatar, any of Krishna, of God, who can be more merciful than Krishna himself? This was Uddhava's statement. And if you actually contemplate that, we can be merciful, we can be compassionate, we can even be forgiving. But if someone is trying to poison us and annihilate us, can we really, turn around and give them forgiveness? That's very difficult. Only Krishna can do that. So we're on that level. For millions of births, we've been ignoring him and being, doing all kinds of nonsense, and yet still he comes every time, giving us a chance to save us. So we should appreciate Krishna's mercy of appearing. The fact that he's appeared in this age, just yesterday, relatively speaking, is a sign that he really wants us to love him, and he's giving us all the opportunity that we take advantage of it. Dr. Jamal?
So I heard that Pujana, after she was liberated by Krishna, I heard she went to Vaikuntha, the Vaikuntha planets, but you said she attained a position like Krishna's mother.
Now, where did you read the Vaikuntha planets?
Huh?
Was that?
Well, I heard it. I didn't read it, but is that not true? Did she go to Vaikuntha?
I
or
don't
Goloka?
think so. I mean, if she's a wet nurse for Yashoda, she's in Goloka.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was just.
It's an unusual
trying to clarify.
case. Most of the demons, they merge into the effulgence or something like that. Kamsa didn't get any position like that. But he also didn't act as a mother. He acted as an enemy, and he's fighting. But because of her special strategy for killing Krishna, she was blessed in that way. I mean, as far as I understand, she became an intimate associate of Mother Yashoda out there. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Well, a couple of little poems. I realized that 3 of my little poems, they kind of tell a little story of Krishna's day as it begins and then playing in the forest. So it begins with the Venu Geet. At the beginning of the Venu Geet chapter 21 of the 10th canto, it's just the rainy season has ended and autumn has begun. So it's a very wonderful time. There's very lush foliage, and everything, all the water is very purified. So it describes Krishna walking in to the forest. So, and this famous verse, Baraha Pidam Natavadavapu. It says, with lovely peacock plume upon his head, and fragrant flower placed upon each ear, he enters Braja's woods with graceful tread, a handsome dancing actor without peer. His golden yellow raiment brightly glows, his splendid garland reaches to his knees, and from his luscious lips the nectar flows, and fills his flute with charming melodies. As Krishna thus begins his blissful day, with cowherd friends who sing his glory sweet, he beautifies Vrindavan's forest way with fine impressions of his lotus feet. And then the next verse, so now he's walked into the forest with his friends. The gopis are all, saying, those who get the sidelong glance of Krishna, their vision is complete. And then he's free, right? Now he's free of the supervision, so he's running. He's running on the bank of the Yamuna. You've seen that picture. He's running with Balaram, the friends and cows are all behind him. Let's go, said Krishna, don't delay at all. And he and Balaram began to run ahead of all their coward friends who called, "Oh Krishna, Rama, let us join the fun." And off they ran to Braja's forest haunts, to play in every bower, grove, and sward. The sward is a meadow. To play in every bower, grove, and sward. The boys would tease their friend with playful taunts, forgetting his position as the Lord. Shri Krishna is inviting us as well to join him in his pastimes which enthrall. The wise heed Krishna when they hear him tell, "Let's go, my friends, do not delay at all." So now they're deep in the forest, and now Krishna is swinging. You've seen the picture of Krishna on a swing? For Krishna and his multitude of friends, a festival of joy each day would bring. A special thrill in Braja's forest glens was riding with him high upon a swing. O Ujjvala, Sri Dama, Bhadrasena, just see Vrindavan's bountiful delights. The peacock's dance, the songbird's sweet refrain, the lakes and hills and other scenic sights. All these make this the best place on the earth for us to play all day and herd the cows. Thus Krishna, in a mood of sportive mirth, enthused his friends while swinging from the boughs. Then there's also one where Krishna is sitting alone in the forest. But he's not alone. He's got a little deer, there's a little swan, there's a cow, and there's trees, and he's got a dove sitting on his hand. And this describes, there's a lesson for us at the end of this. He says, the sweetness of Sri Krishna's form. Now, this is based, the first stanza I was inspired by a verse from the Krishna Karnamrita. This is one we can all memorize because it's very easy. There's only like 3 or 4 different words in the whole verse. Madodam, madodam, vapadasya vibho. Madodam, madodam, vadanam, madodam. Madogandi madusmitamaitadaho. Madodam, madodam, madodam. Sweet, sweet is my dear Lord's form. Sweet is still his face, so fair. But his honey-scented, gentle smile is sweet beyond compare. Govinda's beauty, it says, the sweetness of Sri Krishna's form beguiles. Still sweeter is his face like autumn moon. But sweeter than the sweetest is his smile, whose luscious beauty makes the gopis swoon. Govinda's beauty captivates the doves, the swans, the deer, the cows, and every tree. Indeed, in Braja, every creature loves Sri Krishna and is drowned in ecstasy. That all-enchanting land is paradise, our home where we may dwell eternally. Most welcome there are those who pay the price to learn to love Sri Krishna perfectly. Well, time to get ready for the greeting of the deities. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much.